Monday, June 30th edition of the Carolina Weather Video. I'm meteorologist Matthew East here along with you. A lot to talk about in today's edition of the video, this final day of June. The Avalon Pier web camera, pretty quiet out there. Looks like that image stopped updating during the night, but I'll give you the current conditions for that part of the Outer Banks. It's 71 degrees. The wind is calm there, and the Outer Banks is going to be a focus of attention later this week due to a potential tropical system developing. I'll talk about that in more detail in just a moment. Really pretty comfortable Sunday temperatures across most of the region. You got hotter down to South Carolina, but most of North Carolina somewhere in the 80s. You had some 70s even in the foothills and the mountains with some rain and clouds. Pretty stubborn up that way for a good chunk of the day. And a little bit of a semi-refreshing quality to the air in parts of North Carolina this morning. Your temperatures out there were largely in the 60s. There's even been a couple of 50s mixed in. And look at the dew point, down to 60 in Greensboro, 61 in Raleigh, 64 in Charlotte. That's not bad at all this time of year. So it's not overly muggy in most spots across the region this morning. Now, off to the south, off the Florida coast, there's that area of low pressure that might become our first classified tropical system of the season. There's also a cold front kind of beneath the banner up there in the northern plain states that will also be a weather player for us a little bit later on in the week. This morning it's pretty quiet. Let me show you what it looks like here on Storm Tracker. Just a little bit of cloud cover in some spots. Now you get back into the western mountains, that is where there's some shower activity ongoing. Actually some pretty heavy rain in parts of Tennessee around Chattanooga and some surrounding areas up that way. And I do think the heating of the day will trigger the chance of at least some widely scattered afternoon thunderstorms today. Now off the Florida coast is that area of low pressure. Most of the rain associated with that currently offshore, and then over there toward the northern Bahamas, raining pretty heavily in parts of those areas. And again, I'll give you the tropics here in just a second. All right, surface map here. There's that area of low pressure and off the Florida coast. That'll meander down there for another day or two before it begins to lift to the northeast. We will see the heating of the day trigger some afternoon thunderstorms today. Highs, upper 80s to low 90s in much of the region. Of course, cooler in the mountains. And then tomorrow, I think most of us are going to be dry. Not a whole lot to really ignite thunderstorm chances tomorrow. Can't rule out one or two isolated thunderstorms, but really tomorrow just kind of looking like a hot and dry day. Here's your highs for Tuesday, low to mid 90s in many spots across the region. And then Wednesday, that's when we begin to feel the impacts of, first of all, this approaching cold front from the northwest, and we begin to feel the influence of that potential tropical low there. Still centered down around Jacksonville Wednesday, or a little bit east of there. And so I think starting Wednesday afternoon, pretty good chances for some scattered thunderstorms, and then the forecast thereafter really all depends on that potential tropical low. So let's get into the tropical update here. And this is what the satellite has looked like on that system over the past 24 hours. It's not an overly impressive system, as you might expect, from just an area of low pressure that is yet to become a classified system. The reconnaissance flight, if necessary, will head into this low pressure this afternoon and see what's ongoing. Now let me show you the spaghetti charts on this. Generally speaking, a slow southwest motion for another 24 hours, and then the models are pretty much unanimous there in their idea that this will bend to the right, meaning a turn to the north and then northeast from there. Now, that means that you could be looking at the center tracking up somewhere right over land, right up the coast, or offshore. Now, if this stays just offshore of these warm Gulf Stream waters, then it has the potential to get stronger. And first of all, become a classified system and maybe become a decently intense tropical system. But, of course, if it hugs the coast, that's not going to happen. The land interaction will prevent that. The strongest model, pretty much of all the modeling this morning, or at least of most of the modeling, is the European. And I want to show you its scenario here. This is Thursday morning, 8 o'clock in the morning. Pretty intense little tropical system there off of Hilton Head and Hunting Island down there in South Carolina. And then it lifts up as a pretty intense tropical system right up through eastern North Carolina by Friday morning. And so if that solution were to be correct, Thursday would be a pretty rough day, all up and down the Carolina coast there, and Thursday night as well. And then the 4th of July, the Outer Banks are getting the rough weather before improvement happens by Friday afternoon. And then after that, the rest of the holiday weekend looks good. But I would just say this. If you have beach plans anywhere up and down the coast this week, you need to very closely monitor what's going on in the tropics. If you have a beach trip planned for the upcoming holiday weekend, I would not cancel it yet. I would just keep an eye on things. And again, at this point, current indications are whatever happens, it should be largely gone by the time at least we get to Saturday. So, of course, keep us tuned in on Time Warner Cable News. We have tropical updates for you at 21 and 51 minutes past every hour. All right, that is it for today's edition of the video. Everybody have a wonderful day, and God bless.